All right, hello and welcome back to my breakdown of MLB preseason breakdown, kind of looking at all the different divisions and leagues and teams and trying to figure out where everyone's going to land or, what to expect from each team, players to look at or so on and so forth. I'm not expert or anything like that, but hey, that's what we're doing. I like baseball and we'll go with that. All right, next we are looking up at the American League West, so the AL West. AL West is full of some interesting teams. There you have the Mariners over there, you have the Astros over there, and the Rangers as well. So we'll see how that goes. But we also have the Angels. So the Angels are going to be the first one going on because I'm looking at the MLB projected rotations and lineups for the start of the season. They have Zach Neto playing shortstop. No surprise there. He was pretty good for them last year. Nolan Shanuel, I believe that's how you name his name is, at first base. Don't know. He was playing last year, if I'm not mistaken, for I think the same position he's in. How many games? Played in 132. So yeah, he's basically there every day. 742 OPS, 12 home runs, 53 RBIs, bunch of walks. Under 100 strikeouts for 488 at bats. That's pretty good. Not bad. Wouldn't say it's particularly the greatest, but hey, above average is pretty good. You got Trout out in center field, which is interesting because he's been injury prone for the past few years, but I think Trout's really challenging himself this year to get back onto the field and play some defense and be the player he once was, the player we all saw. I don't know, like even like 5 years ago. Oh my God, Mike Trout has always been my favorite, one of my favorite players outside of the Brewers organization, basically for a long time, basically ever since like 2013, 2012, 11, whenever he came up into the league. I was like, this guy is a superstar. So I hope he actually can do it. I hope it'd be really cool to see him out in center field and, maybe not quite be the player he once was, but for him to try, I think is pretty cool. He's challenging himself. That's pretty cool. You got Johan Moncada over at third base. He was the White Sox guy that he's with the White Sox all the way up to 2014, played 84 games for the Angels. 12 home runs, 35 RBIs. 84 games, 248 at-bats. I mean, it puts him at an OPS of 784, which is pretty decent. Surprised it's like high, I guess. Boy, little base is 111. 58 hits. Still low average. But when you add up the OBP and slugging, 784. Not terrible. So I guess I can see why the Angels are keeping him around. See about that. Josh Lau out in left field. Can't remember if it's Low or Lau. I apologize. Jorge Soler at DH. Okay. Logan O'Hoppe behind the dish. And then you got Christian Moore. And I believe Christian Moore was just looking at him before I started recording. No, was it a different guy? No, it was this guy. Because they're saying he's going to have to play to make the position. But looking at his numbers from last season, in 53 games, 162 at-bats, 7 home runs, 16 RBIs. Low OBP, or OBS and OBP, so under 200 average. But it seems like they're going to try and give him the position, but I assume they have backups. And I'm not an expert in everything like that, but it's pretty good. So lineup is decent. This is the Angels, so the Angels are not really expected to be good. I don't think that they expect to be good. I know Joe Adell had a breakout year last year out in right field. I think I just skipped past him when I was doing the lineup, but I think, didn't he hit like 40 home runs last year? I was like, he had a monster year last year. I remember that. 52, not quite. 37. I think he was on pace for 40. 37 home runs, but you didn't have 100 RBIs. Sounds like the Angels for you. In the end, it was only a 778. You'd think for a guy that hits 37 home runs, he'd have a higher OPS than that. I would think it would be still somewhere in the eights. It's good. But how many strikeouts did he have? 151 in 526 at bats. Not terrible. It's just not great. I would say definitely above average in definitely worthy of being in the outfield and stuff like that, and probably being a 5-4, 5-3 hitter. So pretty good. I think the Angels have some interesting guys. Like Zach Neto has been pretty good for them. Yohan Moncada was good for them last year. Joe Adell kind of broke out last year. See if he can continue that going. Trout, we'll see if he can come back and be half the player he once was, or just kind of continue what he's doing. I mean, not that what he's doing is bad. It's just like he was the DH pretty much all last year, coming off of injuries. So the further what guys get away, especially in baseball, from an injury, the better they seem to play. And I think Trout's just trying to motivate himself and prove that he can be, that player again. Don't expect the Angels to make the playoffs or whatever. Looking at the rotation, it's like Yusei Kikuchi, Jorge Solano, Reed Detmers, which I believe was a reliever for them last year. Grayson Rodriguez and Alex Manoah. The name that I'm super surprised is there, considering he was, I don't know, kind of a failed prospect for Toronto in essence. Yeah, it's just like he didn't pitch at all last year either. I don't know. We saw the ceiling of Alex Manoah, or we saw what a good Alex Manoah was like back in 2022, 21. So maybe he turns it around. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if the Angels are the good spot for that, but you never know. Looking at this line, looking at this rotation, I know they have. I think it's Ben Joyce on the other side. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the season, but he is that heavy flamethrower. I think if you remember before he got hurt last year, he said he could throw like 100. Like he felt like he could throw 107. And I'm just like, considering he basically threw 106, you're nuts. Don't throw your arm out like that. Trust me, 101 is fast enough. You don't need to, but it's cool, but you don't need to. So, like I said, I don't think the Angels will probably end up finishing, I would say last, but they've never had a 100-loss season, and I still think they should probably finish last, because I think the Rangers will still finish above them. I think that their pitching is probably their weakness, as it's been for the past, I don't know how many years at this point. The lineup looks okay. If Trout can stay healthy, I think that this is going to be a better Angels team. Still not expecting them to make the playoffs, but I think there's good things. And the way that the Angels have been kind of working is that they don't want to go into this full rebuild. They've been trading for players and stuff like that. The problem is they traded away Taylor Ward, their big outfielder or whatever, to Baltimore. And I'm sitting here going just like, okay. And you didn't really get much back for him. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, that's 100 RBIs that you're missing out on. So where are the 100 RBIs going to be picked up from? Maybe it'll be Joe Adell. Maybe it'll be Trout. Maybe it'll be Moncada. Maybe he'll play a bigger role. Maybe there'll be, I don't know, Jorge Soler or something like that. But I don't see it. I don't. This team is going to be something. And probably not expecting too much. Moving on, though, we got the Astros next. So the Astros, obviously, I think will go. We're trying to look at they didn't make the playoffs last year, which is crazy. So they're trying to, figure it all out and whatever. And but looking at their lineup, you got Jeremy Pena, probably one of the better shortstops, very underrated shortstop in the league currently. Jose Altuve out at second base because the whole left field experiment was weird and did not work. I don't know why they decided to do that. Jose Altuve, being the team player he is, tried it, didn't work. They moved him back to second base, and he should just continue to be the second baseman. Yordan Alvarez, a DH, he is coming off of a big injury, but a lot of people are saying he's going to win comeback player of the year if he can stay healthy. I agree with that. I think he has his bats too good to leave out of the lineup, and part of the reason why the Astros struggled is from all the injuries that they had, with Isaac Paredes going down, Yordan Alvarez basically being hurt pretty much all year. How many games did he actually play last year? I have no idea. Yeah, he only played 48 games last year. He was good in those 48 games, but Yeah, you don't even play like half. That's not even half the year. That's barely a third of the year. Like that's that's not even a third of the year. It's like yeah, yeah. I expect him to probably be all-time DH, so that way there's less chance he's gonna hurt himself. So we'll see from there. He's their big bat, obviously. Carlos Correa they traded for, even though he was came from the Astros, went to the Twins when they decided to ship all of their team basically. Traded for Correa. Yanner Diaz behind the plate. Christian Walker had a rough start last year, finished really well for the Astros in that year. I'm probably going to say that he's going to have a much better year this year. Zach Cole, I believe he was the call-up last year for them. Yeah, he only played in 15 games. He was good in those 15 games, so they're just going to give him the starting left field role. Cam Smith, a guy they got from the Tucker trade. I know he started out really well. How did he finish that year? Ooh, not good. It's 21 doubles, 3 triples, 9 home runs, 51 RBIs, 37 strikeouts, and under 7 OPS. Yeah, that could have been better. So, but overall, it's still great. Jake Meyers out in center field. Their weakness is definitely their outfield. You have guys that need to prove themselves with Zach Cole and Cam Smith, and then Jake Meyers, I don't believe, has been the greatest for them either. He's more for defensive purposes. High average, I guess, in 104 games. 292. That's pretty high. 3, just, decent bottom of the lineup rotation, or decent bottom of the lineup. That's pretty good. The big question marks, obviously, last season were their pitching because they had so many troubles pitching. They lost Framber. I don't think they're necessarily too heartbroken by that, considering what happened all last year. If you don't know what happened all last year with Framber Valdez, I don't want to get into it, but I think the Astros were kind of glad to be rid of him. You got Hunter Brown is their definite ace. Tatsuya Maya, one of the Japanese players that came over, that he really wants to be the Dodgers, so he's on probably the correct team to do it. Christian Javier, which I believe did not have the greatest season. Mike Burrows, Lance McCullers Jr., and then they have 6 for a potential 6-man rotation with Spencer Aaron Getty. Was McCullers the one that was coming off the big injury basically last season? Yeah, that seems like it. Yeah, because he didn't pitch. He didn't pitch from last time he pitched before this year was 2022. So I know he struggled in the games that he did pitch. So what was his? Yeah, his ERA was 6.51. Yeah, so probably could be a little bit better on the starting position, pitching role. I think they're supposed to have Josh Hader back for the back end. Obviously, Hader has been really good, former Brewer right there. 6-man rotation, plenty of competition. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that I think could. They highlight some young players in their thing. Astros, I think, are still a team you can't really count out. I think that even if their pitching kind of struggles, I think their offense should pick them up. They should get back Isaac Paredes at some point next year, this upcoming year, and they'll probably end up moving Correa from third to. It's a great question. Where does Paredes play then? I didn't even think about that. Might have to see if Alvarez can play the outfield then, and you can move Correa to third, or you can have Paredes. But I know Paredes is really good defensively, so Correa can be a little injury prone. So if everyone can stay healthy for this Astros team, I think they have a great shot of winning the West. We'll see. I think this is pretty good. Oh yeah, you always forget about these guys. Oh yeah, the Sacramento A's. How can I forget them? Oakland A's. Oh yeah. Anyway, the A's Another interesting team because they have really good lineup. I think you have obviously the big breakout star Nick Kurtz. I think that guy's an absolute stud. He is so good. is so good at hitting. Such a good power at hitting. Obviously, he hit 4 home runs in a single game and stuff like that. There's still less of those than there are perfect games, so it's still really impressive. Shane Langeliers behind the plate. Probably one of the better offensive catchers out there. I think if I really had to think about the league in general, I'd probably put him at like top 5, if not top 3. I'd put like, Cal Raleigh, William Contreras, and then probably Shea Langeliers. I know a lot of people would put Will Smith, and I think there's an argument to say Will Smith because of his defense, but I think for pure offensive purposes, I think Shea Langeliers is pretty up there. Brent Rooker at DH. I know he's played outfield last year, so another power hitter. This A's has a ton of power. Tyler Soderstrom. I know he had a good start to the year. Did he finish? How did he finish? Out of curiosity, 25 homers, 93 RBIs, 820 OPS. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I know the problem with the A's, the pitching just was god awful. You have Jacob Wilson, great. Not that he's probably like the one outlier on this team, really. One of them at least. With he's not a power hitter; he's a contact hitter. He just slaps the ball around and gets on base. Jeff McNeil with the trade with the Mets for they sent Jeff McNeil because they didn't need him anymore. I think he's time just with the Mets just ran through. So he's now second baseman over there. You got Lawrence Butler out there in right field. It's pretty good. Max Muncy, not that Max Muncy. This is a different Max Muncy. The younger one. This is rookie year last year. I didn't realize that. Not great defensively. These defenses. Funny that he also is third base. Anyway, Denzel Clark in center field. He was the guy who made that insane catch out in center field, where he literally climbed up the wall and basically like took it out from behind the wall. Pretty much, it was pretty great defensive one. Bat needs to come alive a bit more, but hey, that's pretty neat. So overall, I think the A's lineup is actually pretty good. I think would say above average for a lot of teams. When it comes down to it. So, but like I said, the A's really struggle when it comes to pitching. They obviously got a little bit better potentially with the trade. I know they have, because they traded away Mason Miller last year, they got back, the number 3 overall prospect from the Padres. So we'll see if he makes his way up to the majors this year. I don't know if he will or not. But the rotation's looking like Luis Severino, Jeffrey Springs, Luis Morales, and Jacob Lopez, and Aaron Savali. I didn't realize the A's signed Aaron Savali. Not bad, but I wouldn't say it's that great. Or I don't know. I still think this is probably what's going to still be their kryptonite, is that they're probably going to hit a lot of. They're probably going to hit a lot, and they're going to have a lot of high run games and stuff like that, high scoring games. But you can't stop pitching, and I'm like, I have no idea who the back end of their bullpen is now without Mason Miller. It's like you're pretty much locked down ninth inning save guy who throws 100 is not with the team anymore. It's going to be interesting. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that, I'm not expecting the A's again to make the playoffs. I think they're going to have a stellar team, though, when it comes to on the field. But we'll see what happens. I think that the A's will probably A's it up, though. As weird as it is to say. I don't expect them to make the playoffs. I don't expect them to win the West. I think they'll probably win somewhere around 75 to 85 games, and that just won't be enough. I think I might. I don't know. I don't know if I'm overshooting that or undershooting that. It's hard. You know? I definitely don't see them winning 90. That's for damn sure. 60 is way too low. So, that's where I'm going to leave it. So, I think that's where it goes. Mariners. Mariners obviously were powerhouses out in the West. I think they led the division for a long time. Or I think it was kind of going back and forth between them and the Astros. So, Mariners obviously looking to come back from the devastating loss that was to the Blue Jays in the playoffs. And they're interesting because I'm just looking at this prediction of a lineup, and it's really interesting. So they got Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals because the Cardinals sold everything. Obviously, you got Julio Rodriguez, probably one of the best center fielders in the game. Cal Raleigh, probably the best catcher in the league. I don't still expect him to hit 60 home runs, but I bet you he's still going to hit for like 40. Still one of the best power hitters and one of the best defensive catchers. Easily the best catcher in the league. Josh Naylor over at first. I love Josh Naylor. I think he's great. Randy Arozarena out and left. It kind of looks like they have like a bunch of different guys. You either got, Dominic Canzone, Robbie Ref Schneider, Luke Raley, Victor Robles and right, Cole Young, Colt Emerson or whatever. I assume these are some prospects. Yeah, Emerson is 9th overall prospect. Wow, okay. Didn't know that. Interesting. And then obviously J.P. Crawford out in short. I think the longest tenured Mariner, if I'm not mistaken. So I expect this team to be extremely good. Their lineup was, pretty good, pretty average to above average, obviously with, guys like Julio and Cal Raleigh and Josh Naylor. I think those guys are going to, them and Randy Arozarena are going to carry this offense a lot. And it's going to be up to the other guys to pick up for them as well. And I think they have some bats that definitely could do that. Brendan Donovan has been pretty good for the Cardinals. I know he hasn't been the best, but he's a pretty solid, kind of infielder. J.P. Crawford's been good for them past few years. Maybe not the best offensively, but he's been the pseudo leader of the team almost. I don't know. Hard to say that, but when you got like guys like Cal Raleigh on there, but yeah, I agree. This Mariners team is going to be interesting, but their main strength is their pitching. It's like you have 5 fantastic starters in Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, and Bryce Miller. This rotation might honestly be the best rotation in baseball if they can all stay healthy. Legitimately, there's not a single one of those guys. Now, there's not a single lefty in that lineup, but it's fine. If you can keep this group healthy pretty much all year, it's gonna. Yeah, I think the Mariners could run away with the West, and the Astros will probably end up being a wild card team. But yeah, this Mariners team should be good. I think they have a lot of great players. And the window is very, very high. I think the window to win is very there, and with a lot of determination, a lot of motivation to win this year. They did last year and the years before. So, looking good. It's looking good for them. Rangers are the other team in the West. The last team in the West. You still have Brandon Nimmo, another guy that was traded from the Mets over to the Rangers. I don't remember exactly what the Mets. Oh yeah, sorry, Semien. They got Marcus Semien for Nimmo. So that's right. Brandon Nimmo out and right. You got Wyatt Langford in left. He's been really good for them. Corey Seager, one of the best shortstops in the league. Jake Burger in first base. How was he last year? I remember he just was not very good for the Marlins. Okay. 25, 103 games. Not great. Not the greatest. 16 home runs, 53 RBIs. 688 OPS. So it's okay. It's okay. I think they could probably do better at first base, but it's whatever. Jock Peterson is their DH. I think isn't he coming off a major injury or something like that? I don't remember. This guy's been bouncing around like crazy all year. And he played 96 games. I think he just kind of sucked, didn't he? Yeah. 181 average with a 613 OPS. Not good. Only hit 9 homers. 96 games, 200. Oh my god, yeah. This tells me he didn't get a ton of at bats either. Yeah, but Josh Jung, Josh Smith, you got, and then you got Danny Jansen or Kyle Hayashioka behind the plate with Evan Carter. If I'm not mistaken, Evan Carter was a call up for them last year, or no, he's been on the team for a bit. He's decent for them last few years. Last year again. I mean, he only played in 63 games, but decent. That's an okay lineup. I think you're definitely top heavy with Nimmo, Wyatt Langford, and Corey Seager, and everyone else is kind of okay. Is interesting. So, take a little look at the rotation. Obviously, you got Jacob deGrom coming off probably one of his best years and most healthiest years in recent years. Yeah, he made 30 starts, 172.2 innings with an just under 3 ERA, which is pretty freaking good. How many strikeouts did he? Hello? Strikeouts. Yeah, 185. It's pretty good. Yeah, I would say he's coming off his best year since like in a while, basically, just because he's hopefully feeling healthy. And if he can do this again, I know he's getting up there in age. But like, you sit here going just like times is good, man. So that's all I can say. Nathan Eovaldi, I know, was hurt for a good chunk of the season. I'm pretty sure, wasn't he? Yeah, made 22 starts, so he missed some starts, that's for sure. But he's pretty good for them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 129 strikeouts. ERA was low though. 1.73. Holy hell! I didn't realize that. Yeah, he was pretty good. Missed some starts or whatever. I know the Rangers have a new manager as well, so maybe that'll change things up. They got Mackenzie Gore from the from the Nationals. He was a former top prospect for the Padres, if I'm not mistaken. Traded with what was it? He was the part of the Soto trade, one of the headliners for the Soto trade, if I'm not mistaken. Gore wasn't able to figure it out in Washington, it feels like, but maybe this change of scenery will be good for him. Maybe he'll be the player that we once thought he could. The pitcher he once thought he could be. Overall, pretty good. I think your top 3 are extremely good for the rotation. Jack Leiter, Rocker, Kumar. They're okay. I would say that's pretty good. Comes down to Rocker or Jacob Latz. So they're saying that it could be either of these two guys. Okay, not bad. I think I'm not saying the Rangers aren't going to be out of it. I think it depends if people can stay healthy, right? That's always how it comes down to, right? Is that it's like if Jacob deGrom can be the pitcher he was last year and maybe even a little bit better, which is crazy to think, but the guy's that good. Nathan Eovaldi coming off of a crazy year and stuff like that, and Mackenzie Gore getting new change of scenery, change of things or whatever. I think the lineup's a little weak at points, but again, carried by the top 3. Everyone else is kind of like, you need to prove it. You need to prove it. But, and I don't know what the bullpen or back end of the closer is. So, for them. Overall, pretty good. I would say they're probably going to finish middle of the pack. If I were to kind of look at the West and I say, I think the Mariners are probably going to be on top, followed by the Astros, followed by the Rangers, Angels, or maybe probably Athletics, honestly, and then Angels. So that's pretty decent. I think the West is interesting. I think that it's dominated by pretty much 2 teams. Mariners and Astros are probably going to be fighting over for the most part, but you never know who could sneak in there. Like, I could see the Rangers potentially sneaking in there for a late push or whatever. I think they have the talent to do so. We'll see if they're going to. Still think it's a 2-man race, but overall, I think, and especially because it's like I look at the Mariners, and I think the Mariners still have a lot that they can prove and a lot that they want to prove with this as well. So, yeah, that's the AL West. So, thank y'all so much for listening to this. We will be moving over to the National League next, probably the National League East. Since that's the next one on the docket here. So, if you like listening to this and stuff like that, I like doing this. So be sure to keep listening. I will continue to do this and leave a review, like the podcast and everything like that. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.